Brian Flores just saved Christmas. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman here giving you guys my reaction to the Vikings 23-10 beatdown of the Detroit Lions. And if I had to give a game ball, it would no doubt go to the defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. He was absolutely fantastic in this one. I've said this all year. I feel like the Vikings defense, they have B to B minus level talent personnel, but they play like an A group. And this run that Brian Flores and this crew have been on has been absolutely unbelievable. They were fantastic last week against the Giants, and today, they had 6 takeaways, 5 sacks. They were unbelievable. They held a Lions offense to just 161 total yards. Keep in mind the Lions needed to win this game to continue their playoff hopes, and Flores just did a number. Brian Flores, I'm starting to get a bad feeling that he may not be on the Vikings staff next year, but if there's a game ball, it has to go to him. Harrison Smith turned back the clock in this one. He was all over the place, had an interception, pretty sure he had a sack. He was getting his hands all over footballs in the passing lanes. And that's just what makes this defense so special, is because everybody understands their roles perfectly. Like Andrew Van Ginkel, who also had a fantastic game. Andrew Van Ginkel, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 quarterback hits, a sack and a half, a TFL. This guy was amazing. The defensive performance today was truly generational, and it starts at the top with Flores. It is an honor to watch this defense play every single week, and that's why the Vikings are 8-8 right now. It's because of a guy like Brian Flores. He has carried this team over the last. He shut out the Commanders. You go do a great job on the Cowboys. You do a great job against the Giants. You do another great job today against the Lions. And it does feel good to eliminate the Lions on Christmas. You swept the Lions this year. It feels amazing. But the reason why the Vikings won is because of Flores. You got to do whatever you can to keep him. And Flores is going to be a really good head coach potentially in the future. I think if I was another team, like if I was the New York Giants, if I was the Tennessee Titans, I'm giving Flores an interview. I'm having multiple interviews with Brian Flores, because the one thing I can say is, like, if you hire Brian Flores, your defense, even if you got the worst personnel in the league, you're going to be a top 20 unit. And then if you have good personnel, if you got decent personnel, you're probably going to be a top 10 defense in the league. And then if you combine it with elite personnel and Brian Flores, you got a chance to be one of the best defenses in the National Football League. But his scheme is so creative, and he just had Goff seeing ghosts. Even when Goff was just trying to get the ball out quick, all right, there's a guy jumping up, batting down a pass. They're playing it perfectly. They know where Goff's trying to go quickly with the football, and then they had a guy right there. And then even when Goff, when he tried to take the top off the defense, tried to take it over the top, Byron Murphy had an interception. But also the key is with Flores' defense is, you got to win on early downs. And the Vikings did that today. They locked up Jahmyr Gibbs, 17 carries for 41 yards, 2.4 yards per carry. In 2 games this year, Gibbs has less than 100 yards total on the ground. So that's a credit to Brian Flores and just the scouting and just, even the guys getting it done. Like a guy like Eric Wilson was fantastic yet again. This defense has been really fun to watch this season. I understand, this year has been such a just season from hell. And I understand, a little bit of me is this is a bittersweet win for the Vikings, because you jumped the Lions in the standings. So that means you have a 3rd-place schedule now for next season, which that's the difference between playing the Cardinals in the NFC West compared to the Niners, Seahawks, or Rams. You also now are going to have to play the Commanders instead of the Giants, which, again, who really knows? These teams, there's so much turnover year after year after year. But, the thought I'm having right now after this game, and maybe it's a little too prisoner of the moment, who's the better head coach on the Vikings staff? Because the offensive performance today was absolutely horrific. And we'll talk about that after the break. But I'll just ask you guys, if you guys just had to pick one, Brian Flores, Kevin O'Connell. I think Kevin O'Connell's a really good coach. I also think Brian Flores is a really good coach. I think this is tough, because Flores just did this without Jonathan Gennard, without Josh Metellus, and he just put an offense that was averaging 30 points per game in a complete blender. He owned them. This is a tough decision. Flores or KOC? I think I'm slightly going Flores. And that's why, like, this decision from ownership, like, if Flores says, I'm going to go leave for a head coaching job this offseason, what do you do? What do you do? If you guys don't know, who would you rather have, Flores or Kevin O'Connell? Now, I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor of our post-game show, and that is PrizePicks. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. It is a holiday season, and it's the best time of year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And when you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is PrizePicks. And PrizePicks has a new feature called Early Payout. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. PrizePicks is super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you guys get your picks right, you could cash in. So get in on the action. PrizePicks is now available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So download the PrizePicks app today. Plug in that promo code CONS. Get hooked up with $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, that is promo code CONS to get $50 in lineups. After you play your first $5 lineup, shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's edition of Vikings Now by Chat Sports. PrizePicks, it is good to be right. All right, let's talk about the Vikings offense here. We're going to start off with the quarterback. Max Brosmer at this point in his career is just not an NFL quarterback. I don't even, frankly, know if he's a backup quarterback, but the fact that the Vikings won a game by 2 scores with their quarterback going 9 of 16 for 51 yards is absolutely atrocious. And the Vikings offense today was horrible. You guys see these numbers up on here? Addison also had a 74-yard run at the end of the game. The Vikings offense couldn't move the ball. I mean, I think at a point they had the same amount of punts as they did first downs. And the thing is with Kevin O'Connell, and we have seen this kind of rear its ugly head week after week after week, is like, if KOC, if he doesn't have perfect protection, see, I always thought with Kevin O'Connell was this. If he doesn't have elite quarterback play, he can't be an elite head coach or offensive coordinator. I think there's another fold to this, where if Kevin O'Connell doesn't have elite quarterback play and elite protection up front, his offense is kind of useless. Because he, again, reminds me of a pitcher in baseball where he's got a 104-mile-an-hour fastball. If you guys watch baseball, he reminds me of Jacob Mizorowski of the Milwaukee Brewers. But he's got no second gear. He's got, like, no adjustments. Like Kyle Shanahan, he's adjusting every single week. Ben Johnson's adjusting. Matt LaFleur is adjusting. KOC does not change his offense to his personnel. So the Vikings now have a decision to make this offseason. Well, are you going to go get a quarterback who can execute Kevin O'Connell's offense and sacrifice maybe the development of J.J. McCarthy? Or are you going to look KOC in the eyes and be like, dude, enough. Like, change your offense. Because it is just very frustrating. Like, I understand. Max Brosmer was terrible today. The offensive tackle was being hurt. You were without your starting center. Like, there was not a whole lot they could do, but KOC still can't run the football. Like, his scheme is so frustrating because unless you have a quarterback playing at a top 12 level and you got great protection up front, you can't execute. Because even that Rams game last year in the playoffs, the Lions game was on Darnold. Darnold pissed down his leg last year in the Lions game. But that Rams game, Darnold was bad too. He was holding on to the ball too long. But why was he holding on to the ball too long? Because Kevin O'Connell's got these insane, just long passing concepts. And when the protection's out holding up in front, why can't he go the quick game? Why can't he stay more committed to the run? He just feels like a pitcher who's just got one pitch. And that one pitch is awesome. Like, Kevin O'Connell is a very good coach. I'm not trying to have this be like a, hey, I'm dumping on Kevin O'Connell game. But he's got one good pitch. So it's frustrating. So, I think today, shout out to Flores. Obviously he did a fantastic job. The defense did a great job. But again, the offense was just unwatchable. So shout out to Flores. Really just special defense coordinators. Defense has been an honor to watch this entire season. Just how creative he is. I mean, he makes really good quarterbacks in the NFL look like practice squad guys, man. And Flores is awesome. So shout out to him. Just Kevin O'Connell's got to be better. This Vikings team, it's the most Vikings end to the season ever. Is them having a disastrous season from hell, and then you look up and you're like, oh, we're 8-8. We got the Vikings social media tweeting out, prove them wrong. Come on. But hey, we appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. If you guys were having a good holiday here and you guys enjoyed Skullmas, go down there, hit that thumbs up icon. We'll get on out of here. As always, Skull Vikes.